We also have this. It says Hegseth restricts military officials from talking to Congress without prior approval. The topics include Trump's Golden Dome shield and alleged drug boat strikes. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is mandating that personnel can no longer engage lawmakers or their staff about most major issues confronting the U.S. military without prior approval. A list that includes recent military strikes in the Caribbean, how the Pentagon buys weapons, and the construction of a U.S. missile shield. The problem is that is illegal as all get out because 10 U.S. Code 1035 protected communications. Restricting communications with members of Congress and the Interior General prohibited. No person may restrict a member of the armed forces in communicating with a member of Congress or an inspector general. It is entirely illegal. You can't do this. You can't do this. This is a prohibition of retaliatory personal attacks. No person may take or threaten to take an unfavorable personal action or withhold or threaten to withhold a favorable personal action as a reprisal against a member of the armed forces for making or preparing or being perceived as making or preparing a communication to a member of Congress or an inspector general. That subsection may not be restricted. So literally, this order is completely illegal. Add it to the laundry list of illegal and unconstitutional actions that they've done, including the drug boat strikes, which how many laws have been broken with that? We've lost count. But this is entirely illegal. But yet they don't care. Remember, this is the administration of transparency. This is the administration of restoring the country and the Constitution and so on and so forth. They just need to burn all of that and wipe themselves with it first, apparently. Under Hegseth's new mandate, staff from various military services and agencies were told that they must coordinate first with Hegseth's Central Legislative Office. The list of restricted topics reviewed by ABC News includes acquisition reform, spectrum, critical munitions, budget and reconciliation spending plans, critical minerals, foreign military sales, attempted lethal force on military installations, and the National Defense Strategy. This dude says, right here, it says, we are proud of, the new rules have put a large barrier between the military and Congress. You don't say. They're planning something. They're planning something. What that is, I don't know. But they're planning something. Republican lawmakers lash out at Pentagon for keeping them in the dark. It says Republican and Democratic lawmakers slammed the Pentagon on Tuesday for not briefing them on national security issues. It says Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has worked to control the flow of information about the world's most powerful military and told Pentagon staff that they must obtain permission before interacting with members of Congress. Illegal. During the more than 2-hour-long hearing of the Senate Armed Services Committee, lawmakers said senior Pentagon officials were unresponsive to questions and concerns from Congress. Man, I can't even get a response, and we're on your team, Sullivan said, who's Senator Dan Sullivan, adding that it was tougher to get a response from Colby than it was to speak with Hegseth or even Trump. This is talking about Elbridge Colby, who is a top official at the Pentagon. It says Colby's team, known as the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, is one of the most powerful parts of the Pentagon, responsible for making policy recommendations to Hegseth. Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen said that the Pentagon has made little effort to reach out to lawmakers to discuss its national defense strategy. A document officials say is expected to be published soon and will lay out the department's priorities. We see no sense of urgency to relate to Congress. We see no sense of urgency to connect with Congress, Rosen said. The thing is according to the Trump administration, they're done with Congress. So why would they need to talk to him? Why would they need to do any of that stuff? They're good for the next 4 years. That's what Trump said. No, what they're doing is they're hiding things. They are planning things and they've done things that are illegal as it is, and so they're doing everything that they can to cover it up. I also have an update on the recent Pentagon press policy. We have a new person that has signed the Pentagon press policy. If you guys don't know, the Pentagon press policy is a brand new policy that Hegseth has instituted, basically saying that you must, basically everything that all the information that you gather must be approved by the Pentagon and handed directly to you. So it's a propaganda thing. It's no longer press. Person who just signed is none other than Laura Loomer. Yes, that Laura Loomer that has signed, who's already been a propaganda pusher to begin with. But yeah, she joins One American News, the Epoch Times, and the Federalist, Real America's Voice, Lindell TV, Gateway Pundit, Washington Reporter, Jack Posobiec, National Port, Red State, Post Millennial, Daily Signal, Timcast, TP, USA Frontlines, Infowars. She is now signing on as well. Just stay away from Laura Loomer. My word, if you're getting any information from her, you are lost. Just like personally, I think if you're getting any information from places like Gateway Pundit and TP USA and Timcast, you're just as lost to begin with anyways. All right. And here's the big 'em. Trump administration planning to send U.S. troops to Mexico to combat cartels. Seems they're expanding the whole reach of the South America region. It says Donald Trump's administration is creating detailed plans to send U.S. troops and intelligence officers into Mexico. U.S. troops and intelligence officers into Mexico. It's not a war, though. We don't need to get congressional approval to declare war, though. That's what we keep getting told. Even though that window to declare war because of all the bombs that they've been dropping on the boats, we're past that window, so it's all illegal and unconstitutional, and they're not doing anything. So we're getting talk of actually sending U.S. troops into Mexico. Trump administration is committed to utilizing an all-of-government approach to address the threats cartels pose to American citizens. A senior Trump administration official told NBC in response to the report. Newsweek reached out to the Pentagon and White House to comment via email Monday morning. The Department of State deferred to the Department of Defense. This is, the report comes after weeks of escalating attacks on the alleged drug smugglers out of Venezuela in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, killing multiple suspects the Trump administration has said are known cartel and criminal gang members, none of which still to this day has been verified. Members of Congress have raised concerns about a potential move to land-based operations, which could be seen as the White House carrying out an act of war, but they don't care. The officials who spoke with NBC News said that early training, here we go. The officials who spoke with NBC News said that early training was underway to send troops and intelligence officers into Mexico as part of a wider operation to tackle the drug trade. Let me tell you right here, right now, up front, this has nothing to do with drugs. This has nothing to do with drugs. The stuff with Venezuela has nothing to do with drugs. This has nothing to do with drugs. None of it has anything to do with drugs. Just like the war on drugs when it first began decades ago, had nothing to do with drugs. It's just the narrative that they want to push. That's all it is. And I will say, and I'm not talking about it because I'm waiting and watching and just gathering what I can before I say anything, if I say anything at all. But there's the whole announcement where Trump said that he's going to go guns ablazing in Nigeria to protect the Christians there. I don't think that's what it's about at all. I'll just be honest. I don't think it has anything to do with protecting the Christians. I think there's a lot more to that whole situation than what we're being told, if anything was to happen regarding that. Now, again, I'm waiting before I even go any deeper on it because I just want to see. I've gathered some information that's pretty interesting because about the same time that Trump said that, a mega oil investor said that they were going to double and triple oil production in the Nigerian region. about the same time. Do with that what you will. Nothing is ever as we're being told. Ever. And then there's this to finish it off. Iran and Israel are on the verge of a clash. The resistance chooses electoral silence. The latest American warning: factions are prohibited from moving. This is straight from an Iraqi newspaper, which is why it looks weird and is translated. A new narrative about the future of Iraq is emerging, coinciding with Mark Savaya, U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy to Baghdad, officially assuming his duties. This narrative revolves around a plan aimed at isolating Iran in preparation for a possible Israeli strike with American approval, with a focus on ensuring that no armed parties inside Iraq during the implementation of that operation. A senior Iraqi official revealed that an upcoming war, warning of the possibility of armed factions intervening during its outbreak, at a time when Iran had informed Iraqi officials about 2 weeks ago of what is described as an American plan to occupy Iraq. News is widely circulated within political circles about the resumption of the war between Iran and Israel, and about American arrangements aimed at preventing the intervention of armed factions in that potential war. Defense Minister Tabit al-Abbasi confirmed the story, noting that Baghdad received a warning from U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth during a call regarding the need to prevent factions from interfering in an imminent war in the region. Al-Abbasi explained that the call, which lasted about 11 to 12 minutes, was attended by the Army Chief of Staff, the Deputy Commander of Joint Operations, an Operations Assistant, and the Director of Military Intelligence. Al-Abbasi concluded by saying that his American counterpart ended the call with a clear warning phrase: "This is a final notification to you, and you know very well how the current administration will respond." Basically, what's going on here is the defense minister of Iraq received a call from Hegseth that says, we're planning something, possibly with Israel, to start striking Iran and Iran proxy groups that could go all the way from Iran to Syria to Lebanon to Iraq. We're telling you that we're going to do this, and you need to make sure that those groups do not start spreading around Iraq. You need to play defense while we do the offense. As Iraq's Al-Abbasi reveals Hegseth warning operations are coming. This is your final notice. Says Iraqi Defense Minister Al-Abbasi has disclosed that the U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth directly warned Baghdad of imminent military operations in the region, urging Iraq to restrain pro-Iranian militias operating within its borders. Speaking in a televised interview late Saturday, Al-Abbasi said that the phone call made via the U.S. in Baghdad marked the clearest warning yet from the White House since renewed tensions with Tehran and its regional allies. Hegseth told us clearly that operations are coming, and we must ensure no faction in Iraq interferes, Al-Abbasi said. He concluded the call with, "This is your final notice, and you know very well how this administration will respond." He even talks about, according to the 11-minute phone call, top military brass, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So there's a chance that they are prepping for something again in the Middle East. So as of now, how it stands is we've got threats of war and military threats of war in Venezuela, Mexico, Iraq, and other regions over there, and Nigeria. This is coming from the president who claims that he's the peace president and he's ended more wars than any other president, which is just a lie. And now we're looking at possibly 4 more war fronts on top of it.